Almost 5,000 New Zealand nurses have registered to practice in Australia since August 2022. Now that is a lot of people, and I'm actually one of them. I registered to work from New Zealand and moved to Australia. So why are so many New Zealand nurses opting to leave New Zealand and to move and to work in Australia? Well, that is something I'm going to speak about in this video. And then I'm also going to quickly show you how to register as a nurse from New Zealand to Australia, and it's such an easy and simple process. Well, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tembi, and on this channel I talk all about my life here in Australia, travel, nursing, and so much more. It's really nice to have you here. If you like this video, then please do give it a thumbs up. So there are a number of reasons why nurses are opting to move from New Zealand to Australia, and some of the reasons might actually surprise you actually. The first reason why New Zealand registered nurses are opting to move from New Zealand to Australia is because of the immigration rules. Now this is specifically for nurses who have migrated to New Zealand. When I say immigration rules, what I basically mean that visa processes in New Zealand means that a lot of people are living in what we call permanent temporariness. I know that's pretty much a big word. What it basically means is that it's pretty difficult, or the process of getting a permanent residency in New Zealand is a lot lengthier and a lot more complicated for healthcare professionals. A lot of healthcare professionals are spending a lot of time on temporary visas. They don't quite have that security. So I'm talking about security to be able to buy a house, security to be able to apply for citizenship, security to be able to have KiwiSaver, and to just literally make plans for the future. So if you're on a temporary visa for a long time and the criteria for permanent residency is long or high like it is in New Zealand, a lot of nurses do tend to look elsewhere to Australia, where there are so many more different visa options as a skilled migrant, especially as a skilled healthcare worker. So Australia have got so many different visas, such as the 186, 189, and so many more others in which you can apply directly for permanent residency straight out the gate. It's a really big incentive for someone who is looking for that immigration security. I know in my circumstance I'm quite similar to this, because it's going to take me around another sort of 18 months or so for me to finally have permanent residency in New Zealand, whereas if I was to apply for a 186 or 189 visa in Australia, I can have permanent residency within about 6 months. So yeah, that is the option that a lot of nurses are making. They're like, actually New Zealand's a little bit too long, let me move over to Australia. The second reason why nurses are opting to move from New Zealand to Australia is because of the big staff shortages in New Zealand, which then on top of that lead to really high workloads. And the high workload has led to a lot of burnout, and then as a result nurses are choosing to move over to Australia, where the staff to patient ratio and the staffing is just a little bit better than it is in New Zealand. Now it's actually quite interesting that in January 2022 the New Zealand nursing organisation NZNO said that they were about 4,000 nurses short in the entire sector. I think COVID had a lot to do with that, and I think a lot of people did sort of move and leave as a result of COVID. And if you're working in an environment where the workload is high, there aren't as many staff, you can then really start to burn out quite quickly. And that is the case across the globe, unfortunately. I lived in England and I was able to see the staffing shortages and the impact that they were having on the team. And likewise in New Zealand, there are so many other areas which are so understaffed, which then creates this cycle of burnout and exhaustion. So people are choosing to move to different hospitals, and they're choosing to move to different areas, or just opting for less stressful jobs in Australia. The third reason why nurses in New Zealand are opting to move over to Australia is because obviously of the pay. Pay in Australia is slightly better than it is in New Zealand, and the cost of living is slightly lower. However, New Zealand is trying to respond to this, and they're trying to be competitive as well. And New Zealand have actually increased the pay rate for nurses by about 15%. I remember before I left, I received a huge pay rise as well, which just before I left, which really probably wasn't, the best timing. But yeah, I saw a big, pay rise for myself as well. And it's because they are trying to compete with Australia's wages. So even though I don't have the exact figures on me right now, the salaries are quite similar, and there isn't quite like the big gap that you do have between New Zealand and Australia. However, the cost of living is a little bit cheaper here. And a lot of my New Zealand colleagues that I'd spoken to who had lived in Australia before did always speak about how things were cheaper here, how rent was cheaper compared to New Zealand. And that difference between the cost of living and the wages is what motivates a lot of people to make the move. But if you are a nurse or a midwife and you're watching this and you have been thinking about registering to work as a nurse in Australia from New Zealand, is actually quite an easy process. My registration only took about like 5 days. It was really, really quick. So if you hold current registration in New Zealand as a nurse, and if you have like an annual practice certificate, you can register as a nurse with AHPRA, which is the Australian Health Practitioner Board. I think that's what it stands for, pretty easily. And you can do this under what's called the Trans-Tasman Mutual Agreement. Basically means that there is a mutual recognition and a mutual beneficial relationship between Australia and New Zealand, where they recognize each other's skills. So if you want to register to work in either country and you hold registration in the other country, then it's just a pretty easy process to do. Now, before you apply, you need to have a couple of things ready. You're gonna have your registration fee, which is 489 Australian dollars. You also need to get a certified copy of your passport. So the way that you can get it certified or notarized is that you can go to a Justice of the Peace, you can go to, I think, the post office in New Zealand, make a copy of your passport, take your original passport to a Justice of the Peace or the post office. And what they need to do is they need to sign and to say that this is you and certify that this document actually belongs to you. So at the end, when you finish your application, you will upload your certified copy of your passport. That will be used to identify you. Then you also need a copy of your New Zealand nursing or midwifery registration as well. So those three things: your money, your certified copy, and your New Zealand registration. I'm going to share my screen now and I'm going to take you through the process of how to apply. It is so simple. I did this application in like less than an hour. I had gotten my documents certified, and once I paid for the fee, it took only 5 days for my Australian nursing registration to actually be approved. So it was pretty good for me, and it's pretty straightforward as well. So I'm just going to do that and share the screen. So on the AHPRA website here, the first thing you're going to go to is to choose a national board, and then you're going to go down here and choose the Nursing and Midwifery Board. And then on the right here, you're going to click to I want to apply for registration. And then on the right here is going to come to start your online application. So what profession you want to register in is going to be nursing and midwifery. Do you hold registration in New Zealand? Or Next, are you applying under the Trans-Tasman Mutual Recognition? Yes. Then you go next. And then it's got all of this like just disclaimer things here, and then you just click. Oh, no. Nope, don't click yes, click no. Actually read it first before you click. And it's like, what role are you applying for? I'm gonna apply as a registered nurse. Next, do you hold a current annual practice and certificate? Yes. Do you want to apply for endorsement? No, I'm not sure what endorsement is. Then you click on start application. So after that, it's gonna take you to this. So you're gonna fill out the form, and then you will at the end you'll upload your documents, and then you'll pay the fee at the end. So I'll take you through it briefly. So it tells you how to use it. The asterisks are the asterisks. Then you click the privacy agreement. Yes, you agree to the privacy agreement. Next. Consent for everything to share information. Yep, you acknowledge everything. You go next. And then you put your name as, I'm going to say Mrs. Shackles. I don't have a middle name. of debt. And I haven't been known by any other name. And then you put your date of birth, country of birth. I'm just going to say Australia. In the ACT, I don't know. Oh, actually, I don't know anywhere in the ACT. Actually, do you know what? You fill all of that out, and then you say, what other languages do you speak? You put your mobile details in and your preferred contact number. So you will have to come back to these. I personally haven't done these yet, but you have to fill out all of these. And then you fill out your address details, which is where you're currently living. This will be your current home address, which in this case would be your address in New Zealand. And then over here, we've got proof of identity. What identity documents are you going to submit? So you can put an Australian passport, a foreign passport, or a New Zealand passport. I had a foreign passport, which was a UK passport. And then you put in the expiry date. And then what you need to do is to get those documents certified, like I spoke about earlier on. And the way that you get your documents certified is by going to a Justice of the Peace, a JP, and then they certify that it's actually you, that you are who you say you are, and then you upload a copy of that. And then over here, this is where you would type in where you actually gained your nursing degree, the institution, the title of the qualification, when you started, when you finished. And then over here, it talks about the Trans-Tasman Mutual Agreement. So this is where you put your New Zealand registration number. And then it asks you some questions about whether or not you're under a disciplinary proceedings in any other country, or whether or not your registration has been cancelled or anything like that. And then obviously you say no. In New Zealand or Australia, obviously, so you've been subject to special conditions. No. God, I'm not going to fill that out. And then it's got something about exposure prone procedures and to see if you agree with that. After that, it's all the disclosures that, you commit to having like the correct indemnity assurance, and that you meet the board's registration standards. And then over here, it talks about what you're obliged to do as a registered practitioner. And then over here, you would upload that copy of your identity. So that certified copy of your passport, this is what you would apply here. And then this would be the summary. This is where you'd be able to go over your entire application form, your uploaded files, and then you would then pay at the end. So the payment total, as you can see, is 489 Australian dollars. And then after that, you proceed. Okay. After that, you would proceed to payment and you will be done. Are you a nurse or a midwife who's currently in New Zealand and, trying to debate, should I move to Australia? Should I not? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are some of the things that you think? Also, have you made the move from New Zealand to Australia? And what are some of the pros, cons that you found? What are the advantages, disadvantages? What do you think of Australia? Has it been everything that you think of? And is the work and the pay really that much better compared to New Zealand? And why do you prefer each country over the other? Anyway, let me know in the comment section down below, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you do like this video, then please do give it a thumbs up. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye.